Very, very happy to be joined. And I'm very, very excited about this episode because this is a special episode, and the reason why it's a special episode is my first guest that who doesn't actually reside in the UK. So today I am joined by Shamima, and normally what I do, I let my guests introduce themselves, but today I'm gonna introduce some of just her credentials because honestly, such an amazing, amazing woman. So Shamima is a criminology student in her final year at the Ryerson University, all the way in Toronto, Canada. On top of that, she actually founded her own consulting company, or career and academic consulting company. She's coached over 400 individuals secure jobs, internships, training sessions, and massive, massive companies, including banks, law firms, and I believe she just hired her eighth employee and turned over six figures in a very, very short amount of time. Now, I can keep on going on, but let's just quickly introduce herself. So, welcome, Shimima, to the Valuable Podcast. I'm so happy that you joined me today.
Thank you for having me. You already kind of mentioned my name. So my name is Shamima Nyamekye. And like you said, I school in Toronto at Ryerson. And I'm currently done with third year. So I'll be going into my fourth year in September. I am a career education consultant in Canada. So, like you said, I help students and young professionals basically get jobs and schools. And it's something that I've realized I'm very, very passionate about. I'm also really passionate about commercial law. So
Mm.
I actually have an internship at Norton Rose this month, starting next week, actually. So I'm also very interested in commercial law, and I've just really always loved mentorship. So I'm all up for like teaching someone a new skill, like how to study, how to put a resume together, and I'm very, very happy to have accepted your invitation and to be here. So I'm excited.
Thank you so much. No, I'm excited, and the reason why I'm excited, I think I first saw your profile on LinkedIn. Now, I'm
Mhm.
a LinkedIn. I like using LinkedIn. Basically, a
Yeah.
lot of people know me for being on LinkedIn, but when I found you on LinkedIn, I was like, "There's new levels that I need to reach," because going through your profile and seeing the way you structured everything and some of the amazing work you were doing, it was absolutely phenomenal. But I'm much more interested in like your story. Like, how did you even get here? So I understand that you're actually based in Canada, but you were raised in Ghana.
Yeah,
So
I
talk
was.
to me a bit about that.
Well, I was born in Canada initially, but I was raised like in Ghana. I think my mom kind of felt like the Ghanaian upbringing would be kind of better for my moral development. And looking back, I think she was actually, right. Um, Growing up in Ghana was amazing. I realized that there's like so much difference between how we are raised back home and how we are raised here. Like especially when it comes to how we relate with like older people. And because I remember when I came here, like there was a time in class where I legit tried to like help my professor with like their briefcase, and it was such a huge deal because like the students here don't do that, right? But back home, it's like when you meet an older person, you have to help them with something if they are carrying it and all that. So it's always very interesting to see how the kind of norms back home differ from the norms here. It's like here is more individualistic, but back home is like we are kind of like a community, sort of. But I basically finished secondary school in Ghana. And then I decided that, you know what, I'm a citizen here. Why not come and get some kind of education here, right? So I let my parents know that I didn't want to go to university back home and that I wanted to come here instead for like further education. So really that's what kind of initiated this whole move to Canada. And I ended up doing that. And then I ended up repeating my final year of grade 12 before going into university.
Yeah, wow. So you were actually born in Canada. So what age did you actually move over to Ghana? Because it seems like you spent most of your time there.
I wouldn't even remember. I think I was a baby.
Oh,
I've
really?
lived about 18 years back home. So, like,
Wow.
basically my whole life.
Okay.
I only came to Canada in 2018. So, I've lived back home like all that time since
Yeah.
I was born. But I would come here often for like vacations and stuff. So,
Yeah, and what would you describe your upbringing in Ghana like? Like, do you feel like you were very fortunate enough to like come to Canada on vacation, school there? Like, what was it like for you?
Oh, absolutely. I think I was very privileged to be able to come like to Canada for school and all because it's not at least it's not everyone that can afford to take vacations. Even in Canada, like that is kind of like a luxury. Vacations are like kind of a luxury. So I would definitely say I was privileged. My I would say in kind of like society social class, if I'm thinking about it, my parents are will kind of be thought of as upper class. So I think I had a pretty good childhood in Ghana. My parents really value education. I had the best education. I think I had, they really did try to give me the best that the world could offer, really. So growing up in
Mm.
Ghana was fun. You know, it
No,
was fun for me.
absolutely, as they should. But I know like it wasn't just all spoon feeding for you because like you're a very, very hard worker. And I think you were the second you got the second highest GPA in your school. Now, because I got some UK listeners, can you sort of break down what's a GPA and yeah, how did you graduate, ace in your exams basically?
Right. So GPA, like that's your grade point average. And here is just I would say that's what we use. I realized that in the UK I don't necessarily see GPA. I kind of see like percentages. Like, oh, I had a 90% in this paper and like I finished with a 90. Whereas here we will kind of put that in GPA terms. So for instance, in my university, if you get a 90 and upwards, you have a 4.33 GPA, right? So that's how it's kind of measured. And so when I was graduating high school, basically, that's when I had like the second highest GPA. And like you said, I'm a very, very hard worker. When I came, it was kind of like a new environment. So I had to adjust. There was a lot of difficulty initially because it's like, like this new girl. I didn't know much about anything. And then I was just trying to, adapt quickly because it was the very final year, grade 12. That would mean that those grades are really what's going to get me into any university that I was looking for. So I had to work really, really, really hard. But yeah, I did. Like you said, I'm always really like, I believe I can do anything. So if I want something, I just put my mind to it and I kind of plan towards it and I do it like all the time. All the time. Yeah. So
No, no,
that's
I
it.
love it. And just to quickly touch on your point, so yeah, the way it works in university in UK here, we work
Yeah.
on like percentages, yes. And like
Mhm.
to be honest, we've got like so you have like a pass, then you have
Mhm.
like a 2-2, 2-1, then a first
Exactly.
class, and the
I've been
first
seeing that.
class starts from 70%. So
Right, right,
it's the big
right.
thing here. Like if you get a first class, even if it's 72%, like you've done really, really
You've
well at
done well.
university.
Right,
Yeah, and like
right.
the average grade for university students like a 2-1, which is like
Oh,
from
okay. So a second
60 to
class
70.
upper.
Exactly. So second
Right,
class upper will be 65% to 70. Second class lower
right.
will be 60 to 65, or
Right,
roughly that.
right, right. It's kind of the same in Ghana as well. Like we have second class, upper, first class. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, just here is not as I mean, you hear people say graduated with distinction, but you rarely see the second class, upper or first class like as emphasized as the UK. So actually when I'm applying to any UK thing, I legit have to put predicted grade first class with distinction. I have to put stuff like that there because like that's what you guys actually respond to. Yeah. But
Yeah.
here it's GPA and like a 90 and upwards is an A plus. And then I think for my school, an 85 and upwards is an A. So that's how the grades are sectioned. So 70 would be B plus.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow. And
yeah.
you're killing it with the A's because I remember you mentioning one of your goals this year is actually to get no. You don't even want an A minus.
No, I didn't. OMG. When I was going into the semester, I told myself that I'm not going to get an A minus. And by the grace of God, I haven't yet. I'm just waiting on my final grades. But so far I have like all A's, like all A pluses.
Wow, that's amazing. And
Yeah.
on top of the academic ability, you actually secured around, correct me if I'm wrong, but like over five different sort of training sort of internships with all five Magic Circle law firms, including an internship right here in London, Canary Wharf, as well as in Toronto. So I'm really intrigued. What like how do you sort of approach applications and how do you put your best foot forward?
Right. I think that there are so many resources around that sometimes we really lose sight of originality. Even when I'm working with my clients, coaching them through personal statement writing, one thing I'm always talking about is, you know what, bring yourself to the process. Like, no one has the same story as you, right? And that's something I truly believe. Like, even twins don't experience their parents the same way. Everyone has a unique perspective. So bring that unique perspective to your applications. And it's something that I've mastered over the years. And I do really well now because it's like I'm not afraid to really share personal like stories or examples using myself as opposed to using an example I saw on YouTube or on Google or something like that. Because the truth is, you might think that you are on some like coded side of the internet, but trust me, someone has been there. But if you are able to use your own story that isn't on Google, someone might have a similar story, yes, but the essence, like, and the depth just won't be the same. So I would say one main thing that I've learned is to be original, right? So for instance, these opportunities you're talking about, when I was interviewing, I kind of really gave like examples that were personal to me. And my interviewer ended up saying, she really felt like she could connect with me. She felt free, because I feel like I really made it original. And I kind of was like, you know what? I'm really going to be myself here. Right.
Yeah.
So,
What was one of those examples? Like what is it that you sort of got into?
right. So, what was that? What's an example that I can give? So, for instance, like when I am answering a question of maybe why commercial law or like why am I interested in law? For me, an example that I usually give. So, I remember on an application, I was asked that question, like, why do I want to pursue a career in law? And then for me, an answer that I gave was about how, like, I've just really noticed that the law can be used for good and for bad. So I kind of said that, it's like this two-edged sword where, like, in the same way that the law is used to like secure justice and, put the bad guys in prison and all that, on the same hand, it's kind of also used to like imprison people and be unjust, right? So, like, if we think back, like segregation, there were laws, condoning that. So, that's kind of, and I feel like that was a unique perspective because
Mm.
like you rarely see people write about stuff like that, right? But that was an observation that I had made because I realized, like, we talk about using the law for good and all that, but we usually tend to ignore the fact that in other situations, the law is actually what creates injustice, So that
Yeah.
was like a very unique perspective that I brought to my application.
Oh wow. No, I see. So you're sort of bringing you're trying to go on a deeper level and see how like you're because you're still showing intellect because the way that you can actually digest that into two different sides and show um opposing sides on like your take on it is quite
Precisely,
interesting.
precisely, because like they've seen so many things about the law. Like people will literally begin, I've always wanted to be a lawyer. Um, Growing up, I loved law so much. Like, that those kind of generic answers, but it really does help if in your statements you kind of include your own perspective. Like, okay, this is what Google says, this is what Wikipedia is saying, but what are you saying?
Mm.
It really helps.
No, honestly, that line, since I was 5 years old, I really loved. So many people use it, and I can see that
Exactly.
you've probably ran through as well, like
Mhm.
hundreds and hundreds of CVs. So you mentioned your clients. So I think it was during the pandemic you founded your own consultancy company, actually helping people with these problems, helping them steer away from the generic CVs, helping them
Exactly.
land jobs,
Oh,
helping them
geez.
get
Yeah.
better in interviews. And so, talk to me like, how did you found that company and just drive it forward?
Well, honestly, I was just in bed one night and I was like, you know what? I've been seeing like CEO in all my friends' bios. And I was like, what am I the CEO of? Like, what am I doing with my life? Like, am I a serious babe? So I was like, okay, I wanted to start something. And then I was like, what do I know how to do? And then it clicked, studying is something that you can't take away from me. I know how to study. I know how to put like measures in place to make sure my grades are good, because like I'm going into my fourth year and I literally can get like all hundreds in my midterms, right? So I was like,
Wow.
I was like, yeah,
You can
studying is
see
something.
the quality of the guests on the valuable podcast. But sorry, continue.
I was like, studying is something I am bomb at. So you know what? I'm going to create a business and I'm going to teach people how to study. So that's how it began initially. I was like, I'm going to mentor people to get 4.0 GPAs. And because that's what I wanted for myself. Okay. So I started that. I kind of put a tweet out there to kind of validate my idea because I was like, you know what? Do you guys think like mentorship will be beneficial to you in university? And I got so many positive responses of people being like, yeah, I would appreciate an accountability partner. Like, I would want someone to really be there for me and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, you know what? It seems like this is something people want. So I'm going to, turn this into a business. And really, that's where IBS came from. And IBS is just inspired by Shay because Shamima is my full name, and then people usually call me Shay, right? And it's
Mm.
like every time I have a conversation with someone, they're like, "Oh, I'm so inspired by you." Like Wonder Woman and that kind of thing. So I'm like, okay, people are inspired by me. So I'm going to like name this initiative Inspired by Shay. So it really began as just an initiative to kind of help people, right? And then it just took a form of its own, like even beyond me. And it was just like being so beneficial, like literally. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not like like I'm not a dictionary, I'm not Oxford, and I'm not like a thesaurus, but it's like every time I help someone apply to something, they keep getting it. And I'm like, you know what? It has to be some kind of grace because I don't
Mm.
think I'm the only one that can write. Everyone, like people are good with writing. So like they would get the jobs, they would get like they would come to me and be like, I got the scholarship, I got the school. And I was like, you know what? I can actually do this. So I decided to turn into like a business, a full-fledged business. I registered it. I hired an assistant. She was my first employee. And then we really started business.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing. And the fact that the fruits are speaking for itself is where, as in, like, not even that you started it thinking profit, or you know what, I can make so much money here because people are so dumb, stupid, they don't know how to write a CV. It's sort of like you started it as an initiative. Those people are inspired, and now you're basically
Yeah.
getting more clients than you can handle, and you're hiring a PA and assistant. So, like, talk to me about a process. Let's say that I'm somebody who I want to apply for a new job in business consulting, for example, and
Mhm.
I want someone to check over my CV. So I come to Inspired by Shay IBS. Like, what services do you provide, and run me through how you would take a client from approaching you to, being
So
successful in
like
a role.
Okay, thank you. So usually clients will reach out to me on like LinkedIn or like I need your help or can you help me? Then there's the first thing that I do is usually an assessment to see if we are compatible. Like can you be my client? Because one thing I really believe, not everyone is your client. So I really do assess like, what do you need? What are your needs? These are the services that I offer. Let's see how I can help you. And so that's the very first step. Like, first assessing if we can have a productive relationship. Then the next step would be to look at what you want actually. So if you say, I have to look over your resume, okay, send your resume in, let me see how much work needs to be done. So if I see it, sometimes for some people, it will be the format. For some people, it will be that their job descriptions aren't written well. And when I say aren't written well, usually like the job descriptions, they give responsibilities and not results, right? So it will be like answered calls, reviewed documents, as opposed to having like the action, duty, and result. So like to really say what you achieved, right? So if you say you reviewed documents, how many documents did you review? Why did you review it? What was the result of reviewing it? So that kind of thing, usually you find that people don't do it. So usually when I see those things, then I'm like, okay, you know what? These are the changes that we need to make to your resume. We prepare an invoice, we send it to them, and then once we have received payment, we kind of begin. But we one thing that I say I differentiate myself is the sense that I kind of work hand in hand with my clients, right? So I'm not just the pay me, go your way. I will send you your resume in like 24 hours. No, I work hand in hand with you because I believe it's a skill you can also learn, right? So we will do it hand in hand. I will let you know why I'm changing this. I will let you know why your cover letter won't help you for this job, and I will make it a learning opportunity for you as well, as opposed to, you've paid me and yeah, just do the work and like send it to me. So usually that's what happens. And then we usually, when the work is done, what I do is I will tag you in a draft for you to review, and then after you've reviewed it, I download it and then I email it to you, and then I'm like, keep me posted on how it goes. And then
Wow.
usually that's how yeah, that's how it happens.
No, that's so normal. You said many people list responsibility, not results. That one hurt me
Yeah,
as well.
yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
No, it's so true because I think of course everyone's first CV is not going to be as good as their current, right?
My first CV was terrible.
Yeah. So
Horrible.
so how did you learn to improve CVs? Like how did you learn the game? Should I say?
So really, studying, just going through people's CVs. And one thing that also helped me, I became a career education consultant at my uni. So when I got there, I was like, you know what? If I'm going to be teaching people, I need to come correct, right? So I started studying. There was this resume course that I took as well. And it's a course that I let all my employees take these days. So I took that, and then I got the certificate, and then I also took other resume writing courses. And then, I always say there's no one right way to write a resume. Like there's no one hard and fast way, okay? But there are guidelines and there are like best practices. So really that's what I do, right? I'm going to recommend the best practices that I've seen work. So it was really self-taught mainly, but also going through these examples and reading resources online and stuff like that. So that's how I came to really perfect my resume writing and cover letter writing skills.
Wow. So sort of you actually went out to do the research and you actually got into a
Precisely.
role working for
Precisely.
somebody before you
Yeah.
set out to do it
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah. I worked for my university. At first, it was for free volunteering because I was a student mentor for first year students. And then I got into a teaching assistant position, and then I got into a career education consulting position. So three different steps.
Three different steps whilst you're
Yeah.
still a student. So where the university is meant to be mentoring you, coaching you to leave and graduate and get a job, you are now the one filling that seat.
Yeah, precisely.
No, that's amazing. And I think working with like so many different clients, helping them with CVs, helping them with interviews, like
Mhm.
what would you say, sorry, is your biggest sort of I guess stress with doing all of this, if there is a stress that comes with it.
What would I say my biggest stress is? Honestly, perfection. I am, and I know everyone says they're a perfectionist these days, but truly, I am.
You're the
Like,
real deal.
truly, I am. And it's something that a lot of people like, always call me out on because it's like, I just want things to be a certain way. So even like for me, instance, if I get like a 95, I'm initially happy. Then I'm like, but why? Like, was there a reason why I didn't get 100? Like, couldn't I have gotten 100? And it's like, like you have a 95. Like, be grateful. I am grateful. It's just I think that I can always do more. So for me, that's my stress. It's like anytime an employee sends something over to me, like, Shamima, can you look this over? Sometimes the employee will come and meet the work and it's completely different from what they did, right? Because it's like, I'm like, you know what? I feel like this should be here, this should be here, this should be here, and I think, yeah, I'm nitpicky. So usually that's my stress because I just want whoever hired me to really get value for their money. And I want to
Mm,
make sure that at the end of the day, even if they come back to me saying they didn't get the job, I want to feel that inner satisfaction that, what, it could have been, something else because I really put myself into this. I always want to have that satisfaction
yeah,
because I wouldn't feel great if they didn't get it. And I also know, I didn't actually try. Right. So that is my stress, wanting everyone to get the best of me in terms
yeah.
of my clients. It is very time consuming, and I realize it makes me even weak sometimes, because it's like I'm giving so much to everyone, right? And it's just because I want them to see that it's I'm grateful that they chose my business, right? And then I want them to see that they are getting value for their money
No,
as well.
that is, see, that is it. That is amazing. Is that value element? I feel like, especially when you're running a service based business where it's not like a
Uh-huh.
product where you're scaling it, you have factories, etc. It's like it's service,
Exactly.
it's your time. You're literally pouring into the next generation, or
Every
even
Yeah,
generations that are older than you.
yeah,
Like you feel
exactly.
like you need to give it your all. And I feel like that is a lot of pressure and burdens that sometimes I feel myself as well, where like I even mentor a few young people, and it's sort of like when I'm helping people, I feel like, let's say I say in 1 hour, let's call from 7 to 8, but if the job's not done, it's like like I can't just
Like
leave,
how do I? Yeah, yeah.
you know.
I feel you. I feel you. I actually, similar to you. I was running a workshop, for instance, and the workshop I advertised it as a 72-hour workshop where I was going to walk people through resume writing, cover letters, like interviewing. But let me tell you, when I ended up doing it with three clients, testing it with three different clients, it's taken a month.
Whoa.
Like it's taken a month. It was supposed to be 3 days, but the thing is, they different clients have different like schedules. So I had to like also really assess that, because someone will tell me, oh, instead of us doing it from Monday to Wednesday, it'll be like, well, Tuesday I'm unavailable. That week I have an exam. Well, I have work on Thursday and Friday. So it's like, okay, I need to make sure everyone's schedule is like, I'm doing it according to their schedule and also making them feel comfortable. So it ended up taking a month, and also because I realized that in that month, I got enough time to really teach them what I wanted to teach them, because
Mm,
th- and because the cost of that workshop was $500, right? So I felt like I wanted to give them a lot of value. So I even ended up giving them like tasks to complete based on each session, and the feedback has been amazing, because everyone is like, I learned so much. There was one client from Japan that was in the workshop, and
wow.
so you can imagine, right? So it just also goes to show how passionate I am about what I do, because there was like a 13-hour difference between us. Sometimes I would be training her at 10 p.m. my time, and
Wow.
I still would do it because I really do want her to learn what she paid me for. Yeah.
Yeah, that is dedication. And like the majority of your clients, are they sort of scattered all across the world, or do you have a niche?
Mhm. I feel like because I grew up in Ghana, Ghana, we have like a trust thing, especially when it comes to services, because it's like so many agents take people's money, to like, I'll help you go school abroad, and you never hear from him again, to be honest, because he's just going to take your money. But I feel like they know me, so I'm kind of that friendly face that they trust. So it's like most of my clients come from Ghana, because currently now too, a lot of like Ghanaian students are coming abroad for school and stuff like that. So most of my clients come from Ghana. I would say about 50% of my clients come from Ghana, but the remaining 50 come from all over the world. These days it's even scary. Like people reach out to me from Sudan, and I'm like, how did you hear about me there? Like,
Oh,
like how did, like, India, China. I'm like, wow. Even the Japan was amazing to me. I'm
mm,
currently helping a client in Moscow apply to like universities.
wow.
It's insane. It's really insane. Oh, I can't.
It's insane, but it's not so surprising knowing that like the work and the commitment that you put into helping these people, helping all of these people. And I know that, so I go to work university, and we have like quite a few like Ghanaian internationals. I have some friends who literally from Ghana, but
Yeah.
they, so I can tell that a lot of, is there a trend, or do you feel like a lot of Ghanaian students sort of go abroad for university?
Honestly, I think it's always been like students coming from Ghana to school abroad. But I just think in recent times there's been like an influx, right? Because like so many students, like there are so many things going on back home that so many people are complaining about. And I think a lot of students see like an education abroad as that kind of, getaway from, you know, what's going on back home.
Okay, I see. And in terms of the other, and like other, na- other, what's the word for this? in terms of your clients from different countries,
Yep.
when you help them get into like apply for specific jobs, do you know whether that's in their home country? Is that also abroad? Like what are they trying to do?
So usually, like if someone is in Ghana, I would help them apply to a job in Ghana. If someone is in UK, I'll help them apply to a job in the UK. If someone is in America, I'm going to help them apply to a job in America. So usually that's how it is. I haven't really done so much of helping people in Ghana apply for jobs abroad because I realize it's so much different. Like this year, one of my goals is to partner with immigration lawyers so I can offer again, like back to the title of your podcast, so I can offer more value to my clients. Because I realize people are scared sometimes, right? Again, going back to these agents and how they take people's money. Sometimes they take so much and you don't even see anything, right? So I always really try to see, what else can I do? Because someone gets an acceptance with my help, but then gets denied a visa because they went to someone else. So what if I can actually really help them with visas as well? So I'm really trying to partner with like immigration lawyers and stuff to see what can be done about that.
Wow. So there's
Yeah,
all aspects you're trying to cover, make sure it's one
exactly.
synchronized
Like
sort of
one
process.
stop shop. Like when you come to me, that's it.
No, that's sort of amazing. And you turned over six figures. So I want to know a bit about where you picked up your business skills, because yes, you get the academics. We could talk about your grades and your A's and your high
Oh,
GPAs
day.
all day long. But honestly, it must take some great business acumen to scale a business from a PA or a personal assistant into employees. So in terms of business, is that just you going along as you see fit, or have you sort of dibbled and dabbled in any courses, books, mentors that's helped you on your journey?
Honestly, I would be lying if I said I've even read a book on business. Like I'm telling you, I haven't. And people always ask, are there any books you recommend? Honestly, let me not even lie. I don't have any app, any business mogul that I'm like, wow, she motivates me or he motivates me. Or like, oh, I read this book and I learned this. No, I don't have any of that. I just have my mom.
Mm,
Growing up, I really watched her, and like, I always used to say, like, I would come home and like this woman would literally have her book, her calculator on her desk. She'll have like her money that she wants to go deposit, and she'll be like growing up, I would say the most pastime activity I had was counting money for my mom, because like she would bring it and she would count and she'd be like, oh, can you guys check if I got the right number, and then before we go deposit it at the bank. So I just saw that a lot, right? And then I was like, I admired this.
mm,
One day I would want to have a business of my own, and I would want to be in an industry that I'm really helping people. And so when I was growing up, that's what, when IBS came to me, really, that's what it was. I would say, and my mom too never really sat me down to be like, this is how to do a business. Don't do this, don't do this. But I just feel like, children really learn with like socialization and like interaction. And just growing up, I watched how motivated she was. So, when I started my business, I was like, you know what, I'm going to take this seriously and I'm really going to try and, make this, make the most out of this. I'm someone that, since I was growing up, I've loved money. That's a constant. I really love the finest things in life. And that's something I'm not even shy to admit. I'm telling you, like, if you checked my phone and you saw like my wish list and stuff, you'd be like, wow, girl, like I have so many things in there that I'm
yeah.
trying to buy, I'm trying to do, I'm trying to accomplish. So, I was like, entrepreneurship is for me. I love the freedom that comes with it. Like when people say, oh, I'm going to work, and I also say I'm going to work, but I can be at my desk, and I'm working. It's
Mm,
just I'm not working for someone, because I just realized that no corporation can really give me the amounts that I want to like make. It's just because it's not, they just can't do that. Like who am I to go and demand a certain amount when they have thousands of people who they have to pay as well? But what if it's my
yeah.
own thing? No one is stopping me, right?
Mm,
I can determine how much I make. I can determine when I work. Sometimes I'm literally like I'm on a vacation and my employees are handing things, and I can be on a beach somewhere getting paid. So I really love that about entrepreneurship. So really, I would say my mom has been my biggest motivator. She's such a force,
mm.
and I feel like I've just embodied that.
No, and that is absolutely fine as well. I feel like sometimes it's actually not the books and etc. As long as you have sort of like you said a positive role model, which I'm sure your
Precisely.
mum you could see quite frequently, if that makes sense. Talk to frequently,
Amazing. Yeah.
literally peep game from your mother. If she was, I assume
Yeah.
running her own sort of business and counting money and doing these
Yeah.
things, and
Yeah.
I'm sure you like the finer things in life. I saw a couple of snaps of you in Dubai. Um, I saw a cheeky little caption. The only L's you take is with these. But no, I think as long as you can balance the two and you match that work with that sort of play hard and success. But I feel like nobody can sort of achieve the two without discipline. So
No, you can't.
to me, you've
You
built
can't.
up some core discipline. So talk to me
It's
about how
so
you do that.
important. I'm always saying, a lot of like people ask me, my mentees ask me, well, like, you're always talking about discipline. Well, how do I actually get it? The thing about discipline is it's like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it becomes. You know how when you start working out, your packs just don't show on day one of the gym, right? Like for me, if after like I lose them, it takes about 1 month, like 3 weeks, 1 month for my tummy to become toned again, for it to start like showing. Discipline is kind of like that. When you start something trying to be disciplined, it won't come like this. It's something you develop over time, right? So I would say I've been developing discipline since I was young. I'm someone that I'm never afraid to tell myself no, and I'm never also afraid to say, this is not the right time. But I realize that's something a lot of young people find difficult to do. At least the young people that I mentor, someone comes to you and just can't comprehend having to give up a little bit of social media for maybe an essay, right? But these are the little things that I feel sets one apart. I'm not afraid to turn off my phone for an assignment. um I always say, like, I really claim being a teacher's pet. I not afraid to, like, say, okay, I'm forgoing a night out because I need to get this done and it's really urgent. And I have realized it's like seeped through every aspect of my life, even with my clients. Okay, so sometimes I can be up till 3 a.m. You think I'm studying? Well, no, I'm working on someone's resume, and I'm working on it at that time because I promised I was going to get it to them maybe at 6 a.m. And I'm someone, I take my word very seriously. I like to keep my promises. So if I tell you I'm going to get something to you 6 a.m., I'm trust that whatever it's going to take, whether I need to carry my laptop to my hair appointment, I'm going to do it. Right. So that is the kind of person that I am. And I find that it really does help. And I've just been fortunate to have built it over time, right? And it's also really stuck because it was from me as a person, as opposed to my parents. My parents never really tried to discipline me. Like when I was growing up, my mom never really forced, like, Shamima, you need to be like, do your homework. Like at 6 p.m., go and do your homework. By 9, sleep. She never said anything. It was just me regulating myself, right? So I would come home, I would do home lessons in Ghana, like almost, I think having a home teacher is like a sign of having wealthy parents.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
kind of you revealed something there.
we, we all had home teachers. So like my home teacher would come teach me, and then I would go upstairs. After that, I would do my own studying and be down by like 11, and I would be up again by like 4 a.m. to study before I dress up for school. So these are all systems that I built in place myself. I feel like that's what sets my focus apart. It's not influenced by anyone. I'm self-motivated. So I keep
Mm,
myself going regardless of what's happening around me, because
yeah.
no one did that for me. I did that myself. So
Oh,
really, yeah, I think that's what helps me.
yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I think home teaching is homeschooling. Sorry, is a privilege. I mean, I've never had that, but I think what I like about you is that you're playing with the cards you've been dealt with, right?
Mhm.
I saw this on Instagram, right? Life is not unfortunate, but we all come from different backgrounds, different scenarios. But you literally have to, sometimes just play with the cards you've been dealt with, and hopefully, good
Absolutely.
people in the world can help level the playing field, which is what I'm trying to do. A lot of people are trying to do, whatever sort of circumstance and background you're from.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I really do agree. It's even why I also take on, like, mentorship, like for free. partnering with like organizations for free and all that, like volunteering and everything. I think it's super, super, super important to do that, right? Because you're just really helping make someone better, help someone achieve their dreams. I recognize I can't help everyone, but I will help the people that I can help, to be honest. I think it's super, super important.
Yeah, and I wanted to know more about your motivation. So you said you're very, very self-motivated, but
Right.
what motivates you, right? Is it the money? Is it your mom? Is it? What actually
Mm.
motivates you?
I would say it's a mix of everything you mentioned. Honestly, my mom, of course, she has to be the very first person in terms of motivation. My mom motivates me so much. Like, I can't even describe it. She is so inspirational in my eyes, because like it's not as if she was also, dealt like a bad hand in life, but she was so forceful. Okay. So like she wouldn't want her parents to do something for her because she thinks she can do it herself. She started like business at 18. She bought her first ticket to the UK on her own, and she traveled, and she's just struggled so much, and she's made it out of that, and I'm so proud of that, like seeing how much she's done at her age this time, and also just looking at her and being like, you know what, I want to be more than that when I am her age, and going like, yeah, so this is what it's going to take. That's what really keeps me going. And yeah, definitely I would say money is definitely something that also keeps me going. I think in society, especially for like black women, like I just feel like people try to regulate our success. So it's like you can be successful, but to a certain point, like if you cross this point we've given you, now it's becoming annoying, And I guess that's something. Those kind of things also really just sometimes they spur me on to be like, you know what, I want to actually be an example for other Black women to show them it can be done. Because I think usually we really doubt ourselves, especially as women. Imposter syndrome, and you'd be like, oh, do I really deserve to be here? Can I really do this at my age, because of my race, because of my gender? But like, you know what, it doesn't matter. Success is success.
Yeah,
It's like regardless of who has it, right? So that also motivates me. Just being an example to other people motivates me as well. And definitely financial independence. um Watching my mom, just being able to wake up and, see something and be like, I want that car, and being able to go there and get it, that's a life I want for myself. Like, definitely a life I want for myself, and not having to go through anyone, to go ask anyone or to beg anyone for it. Just seeing a car I want, being like, I'm going to get this. And then the next time you see me, I'm in that car. Like, that also really, really motivates me. And just being able to bless others that have poured into my life is
yeah,
also a motivation for me, because I want to be in a position. I always use an example of how when you're in an airplane, and then, they are teaching you how to put like the mask on and all that, like in case of an emergency. And then they tell you to put your own mask on before you help someone else. That's always something that I use as an example. You can only, pour from a glass that is full. You can't pour from a glass that is wet, like empty, because there'll be nothing in it, right? So I believe in investing in myself so I can impart whatever I'm learning onto others as well. So that is another motivation for me, definitely. Just improving other people's lives.
wow, that is a very, very big and good analogy. And it makes sense because so many of us, I think, we can actually have that desire to help other people and pour into other people. Then we just find out, wait, we're running out at the moment, and it's sort of even unfair to the some of the people that we're pouring into. And I feel like I've had this discussion with many friends. Sometimes we talk about burnout, like, oh, we've
Precisely.
reached burnout, or I'm tired. And it's
Yeah,
like so many people, I think this mentorship, I have mentors, it can even lead to a sense of pride now. Oh yeah, I mentor 5 different people. But it's like over time, that capacity that you had when you picked up your first mentor is not the same when you have your fifth one. So now they're getting
exactly.
unequal pouring into you, and
Exactly, exactly.
it's
So I find that it's so important to sometimes take a break and, just do something else and then get back, right? Because people are, if you are a mentor, it's such a huge responsibility. People are looking up to you, someone is looking to you. I think you should be doing much more investing in yourself so you can make sure you're giving onto like everyone the same way. I realized this when I was doing the workshop, career workshop. I just really tried to schedule calls when I was mentally there to make sure I'm
Mm,
giving everyone my best, right? As opposed to someone really having a good experience and someone just having a terrible like experience,
mm,
right? Yeah, super important.
no,
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that. And I can see that you're literally trailblazing your way to success, regardless of race, gender. Like you're really putting in the work and it's showing. But um, what does success mean to you?
Success to me would definitely mean being in a position where God can bless others through me. So for instance, like there are so many people back home in Ghana that I want to like help. I want to like, there's an auntie of mine, like I always think about her. She raised me, and I always think about how when I grow up and I'm really in the position that I'm able to, I really want to build a house for her and I really want to take care of her children on her behalf because I really love her and she's done so much for me. I'm that kind of person. I think that's what success would look like to me. Being able to help the people that I love like that, put a smile on their face. Like even now, like I'm someone that I really remember what people do for me, and I make sure that I reward them for it, even without them asking. So
Mm,
I think success is really tied, for me, is really tied to my ability to help others, to be honest. Yeah.
yeah,
Like now, some days I think I'm successful because I've helped people get into schools and stuff like that. Just on some days, because I also never really feel like I've reached where I want to get to, right? Like there's always more I can do. And I'm always
yeah.
saying like I want to die empty. Like I want to die having given off everything. I don't want to take anything to the grave. Like so.
Yeah. No, that's powerful. And I think, but we do have to be careful because, like, in this life, right? Nobody knows when the time comes, it's coming, right?
Precisely, precisely. So
So,
that's exactly why, like right now, I'm so like, I have to give like my best to everything that I'm doing.
yeah, and it can be sort of difficult as well when like me, I can really tell that you're ambitious. You're very ambitious, but I
Mhm.
feel like ambitious people, we're not all perfect, but sometimes
No.
like our ambition might even cloud sort of our vision. So like we always want this because there is, like you said, there's always something more. No matter what car you're driving in, there's someone that has a better car than you. What matter what house you,
Precisely.
someone
Precisely.
has a
Yeah,
better
there's
house.
someone out there. Yeah.
Right.
You can
I
never
even
really get enough.
I thought when I was looking at people in Dubai this holiday, I would love it until you come across some Instagram pages and you see luxury lifestyles. You're thinking you didn't even know this cave underground hotel water existed. So it's like there's always something that's better. So I feel like I guess with you like contentment, how does that play a factor in your life? Like, do you feel like you're content right now?
Right now, definitely right now, I would say I'm grateful for where I am, and I don't necessarily compare myself to anyone and be like, oh well, look at what they are doing. In a sense, something that my mom is always telling me, right? So for instance, with my mom, anytime we like look at Forbes and we're like, oh ma, like Musk has like, a fortune, like this is how rich he is, like he bought like a company for like, billions and stuff like that. And my mom is like, well, she's not really surprised. Like, I feel like when you start working and you start earning money, you kind of come to understand how money is made. So if someone makes 100 billion, you aren't surprised because you know that, if you are putting these processes in place and you're growing, there could be potentially a time where you're making billions as well. So I've come to believe that. And I just, anytime I see someone in a position, I'm just like, she's a human being like me. If she can, I can. So that helps me stay content, and that helps me be like, I'm grateful for what I have, right? So I think comparison really is what sometimes take people out of contentment. So I try not to do that. Like currently I want to get a car, and the car I really, really, the car of my dreams is a Maserati, right? But I also know that it wouldn't make sense to just go get a Maserati at this point. So I saw an Elantra that I liked, and I'm thinking of going to buy that instead, right? But I will end up seeing someone in a Maserati when I go out and be like, yeah, that's definitely the car I want. But at this moment, though, it's not a wise financial decision. So I just need
Mm,
to take my time, right? So I think that is sometimes just being able to be your voice of reason that keeps me content. I keep thinking like, Shamima, you aren't the same woman you were like 2 years ago. You've come so far. That is something to be grateful for. Like, regardless of who bought a house for 200 million, like, I probably wouldn't need a 200 million house. Like, so, it's something to be content for. Like, I'm not sick. I have a house to live in. I have a family that loves me. I have a business that's thriving. I think it's good. I don't need to have all that. Yeah.
No, no, absolutely. Again, congratulations to yourself. I think I
Thank
picked
you.
up a gem there, guys. If you're not reading the Forbes magazine with your family or friends, you're doing it wrong. I'm only joking. No, that's actually amazing. Sort of, I guess subconsciously you're seeping in like sort of inspiration, literally by reading the Forbes, looking at sort of other people. But yeah, like you said, comparison, we got to avoid that because it can be the thief of joy. And one thing I actually noticed about you as well, like you plan, so you're planning to get a car right now, so you're very much a planner. So how many, or should I say, how do you stay ahead of your planning? Do you plan like a month, 6 months, a year, 5 years down the
Right.
line?
So, for instance, when the year was beginning, I had a plan. And what I do is when I set goals, I kind of set my goals as in I have academic goals, I have business goals, I have financial goals. So that's how I set my goals. And then really I would say there's not a particular time where I'm setting goals. I just happen to have a goal each semester, right? So maybe this semester I don't want to get an A minus like you mentioned. That will be one of my goals, and I'll be like, oh, maybe this year I want to make this amount of money each month. I want my business to bring in this amount of money by end of year, right? And I write those things down. And day to day I have goals, right? So that's how I plan. Like, if I'm going to bed, I have a goal of, okay, how am I going to make good use of my Monday? So maybe in the morning, I'm going to review 5 resumes. In the afternoon, maybe I'm going to hang out with my friend. In the evening, maybe I'm going to complete like a lecture. That's how I structure my day. So I would say goals are a constant with me. I'm always setting them, and I'm like set, achieve, that kind of thing. So I'm
Yeah.
always, yeah, goal setting. It's very important.
What happens when the cycle breaks in the sense that you set something, but it just it falls through. It doesn't come to pass. Do you end up changing your goals or what you want to achieve?
I adjust it. Usually, I would just adjust it and be like, I didn't get it this time. I can get it the next time. And also, I realized that as I am growing, it rarely occurs that I set it and I don't achieve it, because it's like before I set it, I've already put so many things in motion to achieve, to make sure that by the end of the year I can say I did that, right? So I like people often say like, Shamima, I think you're good with manifesting, but I think it gets to a point where it's no longer manifesting, right? It's just really like hard work and just being able to say, I'm saying this because I know I'm willing to do what it takes to get there, right? Because I've realized that people really love goal setting, but then they dread the execution, right? So you can write as many goals as you want, but if you aren't working towards them, you really can't achieve it. So,
Mm, I love
um,
that. Yeah, that's good. And the reason why I love that, because I'm literally about that as well. Execution. I think like there is such a beauty in that word, and execution for me is doing what you said you're going to do. Simple
precisely,
as
it's
just like
simple. Yeah, simple. Like, a lot of people, yesterday I was on a webinar and like someone was asking me what apps would I recommend like for studying, and um what like systems, and I'm like, what, I'm old fashioned. Just get to work. Like, just sit at your desk and start studying, like, just
yeah,
start. Why are you like waiting for an app? Like, I just think those things are just like flowery. Like, just
yeah.
do the work. Yeah.
No, no, definitely. I think it depends on the individual. Like I said, and like you've sort of displayed yourself from a young age, you sort of built up that disciplined muscle. So for you, distractions may not come as easily, whereas other people they need those systems and those processes to get them on track. And even myself, like, so one thing I actually done, so I read an author called Cal Newport, and he has a book called Deep Work, and he
Hmm.
has a few different books I've read actually of his, but the Deep Work was profound because he listed out different methods of tuning into deep work, and he mentioned basically
Oh,
in our generation, right? And this is even, I think this book was published around 6 7 years ago. So imagine what it is now. But back then, he literally said, "What's categorized by our generation is deep work and shallow work." And a
mm,
lot of people are doing shallow work thinking it's deep, i.e.,
oh,
shallow
wow.
work is stuff like scrolling on social media, trying to do an essay whilst watching TV, or having your friends in the background talking to
Never
you
a good
whilst you're trying
idea.
to focus on a task, right? And he said
Never.
even in the workforce, right? Because if you when you're in work, I'm sure like emails just will just flood your inbox. So many people spend minutes that they think is not a lot of time. When you add it up, you could have just batched replied
Do you see how fast an hour goes by these days?
quickly.
Literally, an hour is like 2 minutes these days. It's so insane. Yeah, it's so true. I
Yeah, so
agree with you.
he sort of says, okay, so we should understand what shallow work is and deep work, and those who basically are valuable. So those who can basically work and hone in on skills to produce value to the world are people who
Mm,
spend the most time in deep work. So you see, you're
mm.
talking about Elon Musk, you're talking about some of the world's best scientists, etc. Some of these groundbreaking formulas wasn't done whilst watching Netflix. Not that watching Netflix is bad. I'm trying
It's
to
not
say that
bad, exactly.
they
Yeah.
understood that when they're in the area of deep work, right?
You
When
need
you're
to let go of that. Yeah.
exactly so
I
is that
agree.
is
I
that
agree.
crunching time? And I think
I
you
agree.
mentioned something previously. You mentioned that you said like you're a teacher's pet, and it reminded me of a book. So there's a guy called Tony, great guy. So he's a Cambridge graduate actually, and he does a lot of good work in Nigeria. He
Right.
has a foundation, Do Good Africa, but he published an ebook called Cheat Codes. So it's basically cheat codes towards exams, and what in that ebook he mentions how in the lectures he'll go and sit at the very front, and that's my
No,
idea
it's
of being
so
that teacher's pet.
important. It's so important. Like one thing I'm always saying is if I enter a classroom, even if anyone forgets what we learned that day, they will remember my name. Like I always make that a point because I will introduce myself. I will speak in class. I will share my thoughts. Like you will know me. That's how, literally, that's how I've moved these 3 years. And it's obviously done a lot of good for me because I built relationships with my professors, and it's like now, if I'm like in search for a reference letter or like a recommendation letter, it's not difficult to come by, right? Because they've helped me. I can't tell you the number of like school awards I have won just from their
Mm,
recommendations, and literally it's like when I even approach them, they are glad that they are writing on my behalf because it's like they're like, oh, can I
wow.
send you a draft for you to review and then you can suggest changes and I can implement them. Like this is a whole professor. Like you have students
We
stuff
need
to
that
grade.
grace.
You have student stuff to grade and you're like putting this time into me. But really,
Yeah.
they are human as well. And humans are relational beings, right? So if you're able to build good relationships, trust me, it's really like you are like on your way.
No, that's
Absolutely.
so good, and that's unfortunately I sort of took that in my final year of university when I tried to sit at the front. I tried to because honestly, I'm not even sure if it's a UK culture or vary from person to person, but I'm that person that I get in. I don't want to be seen. I'm in the back. I
I
don't
feel
talk.
you.
I just soak in
I feel
information. I let the
you.
keyboard warriors go to work, and I'm just hearing noise in the
But you
lecture.
also know, I feel like back home, it's for me, I feel like it's also a cultural thing. Like back home, when you are quiet, you're kind of like praised for being humble. It's like when you're a bit loud, usually people think you are proud, right? People usually associate those two things. But really, you need to advocate for yourself. That's something that I always see. Like, how will people know I write resumes if I don't post it? Right? How will people know I have good grades if I'm not talking about my grades? Because, okay, I say I'm an academic mentor. Obviously, people will ask, okay, you want to teach me how to study. What are your grades like? Okay. So if you can see my grades online, then you can know that, yeah, this is someone in a position to teach me because, hey, like obviously this is what she has going on. So I really
Mm,
believe closed mouths don't get fed. And it's not just in business, it's in school as well. You really need to advocate for yourself and be like, this is what I think, share your opinion so they know you, like, so they know your name, to be honest. Because I know so many friends that have talents, but they just aren't sharing it because they're like, what if I'm in too many people's faces? Like, then I feel like, because if you really want to take your business like to the next level and you really want to be bringing in income like the way you want to, you have to be in their faces. Trust me. Because I see some people on LinkedIn and they probably post the same thing like 7 times in a week, but it's like they get reactions, right? They still get reactions because like they keep talking about it, keep talking. So it's like it gets to a point where it's literally in their head. So
Yeah.
people come to like I want people to come like kind of think about resume and see me in here, right? So I will keep talking about it.
Yeah.
So I'm their go-to person. So it's so important. But back home you might be like, oh, she talks too much, like, oh, I think she's too flashy. No, you aren't
Yeah.
being flashy. You are advocating for yourself, right? And we need to also check that. Sometimes you think they are being flashy because you aren't coming from a point of like admiration, you're coming from a point of jealousy, right? They might just
Mm.
be they might just be advertising their business, right? But you think they are bragging because you
Wow.
feel, insecure. Yeah.
Wow. That is powerful. And I actually heard something very, very similar on a podcast I was listening to. So it's called the Roommates Podcast. I'm not sure if you ever
Oh,
came across it. So it's like I think it's American, but Roommates Podcast, and they had one of a guest called Patrick Bet David. He
okay.
runs Valuetainment, and he has his own Patrick Bet David podcast. But he was literally talking about this idea that sometimes when people are envy and jealous of other people, it's much more of
Mhm.
an internal problem in the sense that it's kind of like they haven't dealt with something
Exactly.
internally. Like
Yeah,
why is it that you either want to possess what someone else is possessing and you can't get it, or you're just jealous. And
true.
he explains it in a way that says it's actually because you are capable of getting that, but it's just that you sort of haven't put yourself out there, you haven't
True.
went to do it.
True.
Does
Yeah,
that make
yeah.
that?
And it's I feel like that also, when when you're coming from a place like that, it's so easy to start putting like limitations on not just yourself, but you also try to put limitations on that person that's already getting what they want to get, right? Because I know that I sometimes I feel like I rub people the wrong way, because it's like why am I always going, like, or why am I always doing something, why am I always being productive, but like I haven't held your hand, like it's my time and I get to, use it for what I want to use it for, right? So I like there are so many examples I can give. Like growing up before I went to junior high, like there were so many people telling me, Shamima, I don't think you can, because when I was going to junior high back in primary school in Ghana, like in Ghana, we really care about positions and stuff. So it's like at the end of
Okay.
the semester, we're like, oh, who was first, who was second, who was third, that kind of thing. And we really cared about those kind of things. So when I was going into junior high, I remember saying, you know what, in junior high, I'm never going to be second. I always want to be first in like anything, a test, exam, even homework. I want to be first, right? And
Okay.
then people were like, yeah, but in class six, like, I was first to fifth. So people were like, yeah, okay, we'll see. Like, I don't think that's possible. Like, how can you be first all the time? Like, that's unrealistic. Let me tell you, I did it. 3 years straight, never came second.
Wow.
3 years straight, like 3 years straight, 365 times three, never came second. In a test, in an exam, never came second, right? And
See.
even like I was like they ended up also telling me, oh, like there was this, I really liked French, so I was like, you know what, I'm really going to be friends with this French professor and I'm going to be good in this class. And we're like, yeah, but like in junior high is different. You don't know, you were in primary, so like junior high it's more difficult, you can't get those grades. Let me tell you, I did it as well. The man loved me. My lowest grade in this class was a 90. So that's just, these are kind of experiences that let me see that, if you want to do something, trust me, do it. Okay,
Mm,
sometimes we need to ignore the statistics, right? You can be the first to do something. It can be you, so you need to own that and you need to really move like that. And I think that's like when you reach a point where it's like you think there's nothing you can do, it really helps you realize you are really in your element. Like at this point in my life, there are very few things I think I can do. There's one thing I know I can do for sure. That's wink. I cannot wink. So I've stopped. But there are so many more things where I'm like, I will set this goal and I will hit it. I'm
mm,
going to do it. And people like, so I don't even discuss it with anyone for them to tell me, Shamima, it's never been done. Like I will be the first to do it, right? So I really
mm,
believe in being the first to do something and just ignoring that statistic. Like, oh, no black person has been here. Well, I'm going to go there. Like,
mm.
so
No. Wait. Sorry, I just need to charge this.
no worries.
Notification come. All right, cool. We're back. So I'm sort of blown away, and I'm very intrigued who. or should I say like the people you hang around with? Because right, I feel like again, very ambitious, very bold, put yourself out there. Now, not a lot of people are gonna stick around with someone like that for long. Does
Oh,
that make
true.
sense? So, like, have you? What's your friendship group like? Is it small? Is it large? Have you lost friends on the way?
So small. My circle is so small. I think I'm very friendly, right? So I have so many people that are like, oh Shamima, I admire you, I love you. And I'm like, yeah. Every time I'm always like, oh yeah, I love you too, sis, and that kind of thing. But it's just social media kind of friendliness. I have
Mm,
a one best friend that I really love. She's such a good person. She's called Claire, and she's in Canada here with me. She's my main girl. She's my everything.
wow.
She's my friend. So and sometimes I think it's even sad, but that's how far it goes. It's just clear for me. But I do try and go out of my way to make friends. It's just you find that there are very few people that can, recognize that, my friend is going to be successful no matter what, and I'm just going to be here to support her, as opposed to, I'm going to try and compete with her,
Wow.
because I'm not your competition. You aren't my competition. We can both be great. There's enough greatness in the world for everyone. But you realize that you bring people in and then they try to control you or they try to limit you. So honestly, people have left. I went through something very, very difficult 8 months ago. And it was really, really heartbreaking for me. But it happens. Those
Yeah.
things
Wow.
happen, and I'm someone that I'm like, you know what, sometimes you just need to let people do them. I can't control everyone. And as much as I would love to bring everyone on my journey, not everyone has to be on it, and that's fine. Some people just have to admire me from like the sidelines. So
I love it.
yeah.
Absolutely love it. Shamima, listen, it's been great. Time's just been flying. I'm absolutely loving this conversation, and I guess just to bring it to a close. In terms of the rest of the year 2022, so in case people forgot, you're still going into your final year of
Yes. Of
your yeah, undergrad. So what's life like for you after that? Because there's many entrepreneurs, and you even mentioned the money or the success you want, no corporate or company is going to give you that. So with all of these offers, internships you're going to do in the summer, hopefully I'm sure they might be giving you some return offers, training contracts, etc. So what's your sort of plan? Are you willing to take that, pave a way in a career in law, or do you think you're going to become full-time entrepreneur or both?
absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Why not both, right? Yeah, if I can do both, why not? So I really do love law, and I see myself in the legal role. So definitely that's not out of the question. I think when I'm done with school, though, I'm going to take a break. I just want 1 year off where I'm not achieving anything. I just want to, just be like, I don't want to be Shamima, the president, the entrepreneur, the A student. I just want to be Shamima. I just want to wake up, sleep, spend time with my family, you know, like just breathe, outside accomplishments. So I'm just going to try that for a year. But when I'm done, like when I'm back, definitely, I think I want to scale my business. So even now, I've hired a COO here in Canada, and I'm currently onboarding a sales and marketing team because I really want it to grow more than it has, right? Because I have
Mm.
ambitious revenue goals that I want to hit. So I'm definitely going to work towards that and see where that takes me. But definitely, law is never out of the question. I'm definitely going to be both because one thing I also want to be is partner at a law firm, right? And whether that's like a law firm in America and the UK or even my own, but I'm going to be partner for sure.
Amazing. And I don't have a doubt in my mind, with the
So
grace,
look out
hopefully
for
your
that
good health.
LinkedIn announcement post.
We certainly will. Thank you so much for joining me on the Valuable Podcast. Listen, where can people find you, connect with you on social media, and get in touch?
Oh, they can find me on LinkedIn. Shamima Nyamekye is the handle. And then they can find me on Instagram, Twitter as well. I have the same handle, the six writer. And they can find, well, I don't know if email, do people send emails anymore? Okay. But
Yeah, I
my
think that's a bit much, but you can find Shamima on LinkedIn or your website
Twitter,
inspired by Shay.
Instagram. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So they can find me there as well. Honestly, when they get to my LinkedIn, I feel like they'll see everything, like my website, everything.
Yeah, all right,
And then if they
perfect.
want to like work with me, anything, they can reach out as well.
Amazing, amazing. Listen, you heard Shamima herself, very, very ambitious, and I think she's an amazing person. Thank you so much for
Thank you so
coming
much.
on. Yeah, I really, really appreciate you. I've learned so much from you, and I think it's just really been empowering, motivating, and inspiring to just,
Aw,
another black woman really going for it and helping others on the journey.
I'm glad. Thank you.
All right.